The major physiographic divisions. The physical features of India can be grouped under the following physiographic divisions: the Himalayan mountains, the northern plains, the peninsula plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plains, the islands. The Himalayan mountains. The Himalayas, geologically young and struct-fold mountains, stretch over the northern borders of India. These mountain ranges run in a west-east direction from the Indus to the Brahmaputra. The Himalayas represent the loftiest and one of the most rugged mountains barrier of the world. They form an arc which covers a distance of about 2,400 km. Their width varies from 400 km in Kashmir to 1,500 km in Arunachal Pradesh. The Himalaya consists of three parallel ranges in its longitudinal extent. A number of valleys lie between these ranges. The Himalayan mountains are divided into three types: Great or Inner Himalayas or the Himadri, Himachal or Lesser Himalaya, Shivaliks. Great or Inner Himalayas or the Himadri. The northernmost range is known as the Great or Inner Himalayas or the Himadri. It is the most continuous range consisting of the loftiest peaks with an average height of 6,000 meters. It contains all prominent Himalayan peaks. The folds of Great Himalayas are asymmetrical in nature. The core of this part of Himalayas is composed of granite. It is perennially snow-bound, and a number of glaciers descend from this range. Himachal or Lesser Himalaya. The range lying to the south of Himadri forms the most rugged mountain system and is known as Himachal or Lesser Himalaya. The ranges are mainly composed of highly compressed and altered rocks. The altitude varies between 3,700 and 4,500 meters, and the average width is of 50 km. Himachal or Lesser Himalaya. While the Pir Panjal range forms the longest and the most important range, the Dauladar and the Mahabharat ranges are also prominent ones. This range consists of the famous valley of Kashmir, the Kangra and Kulu Valley in the Himachal Pradesh. This region is well known for its hill stations. Shivaliks. The outermost range of the Himalaya is called the Shivaliks. Meso hills of 10 to 50 km have an altitude varying between 900 and 1,100 meters. These ranges are composed of unsolidated sediments brought down by rivers from the main Himalayan ranges located further north. These valleys are covered with thick gravel and alluvium. The longitudinal valley lying between Lesser Himalaya and the Shivaliks are known as dunes. Dehradun, Koli Dune, and Patli Dune are some well-known dunes. Besides the longitudinal divisions, the Himalaya has been divided on the basis of regions from west to east. These divisions has been demarcated by river valleys. For example, the part of Himalaya lying between Indus and Satluj has been traditionally known as Punjab Himalaya. but it is also known regionally as Kashmir and Himachal Himalaya from west to east, respectively. The part of Himalaya lying between Satluj and Kali rivers is known as Kumaon River Himalayas. The Kali and Tista rivers demarcate the Nepal Himalaya, and the part lying between Tista and Dihang rivers is known as Assam Himalayas. Beyond the Dihang Gorge, the Himalaya bend sharply to the south and spread along the eastern boundary of India. They are known as the Purvanchal or the Eastern Hill and Mountains. These hills running through the northeastern states are mostly composed of strong sandstones, which are sedimentary rocks. Covered with dense forests, they mostly run as parallel ranges and valleys. The Purvanchal comprises the Paktay Hills, the Naga Hills, the Manipur Hills, and the Mizo Hills. The Northern Plain. The Northern Plain has been formed by the interplay of the three major river systems, namely the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra, along with their tributaries. This plain is formed of alluvial soil. The deposition of alluvium in a vast basin lying at the foothills of Himalaya over millions of years formed this fertile plain. It spreads over an area of 7 lakh square kilometer. The plain being about 2,400 km long and 240 to 320 km broad, it's a densely populated physiographic division. The rivers in the lower coast split into numerous channels due to the deposition of slit. These channels are known as distributaries. With a rich soil cover combined with adequate water supply and favorable climate, it is agriculturally a product part of India. The rivers coming from northern mountains are involved in a depositional work. In the lower coast, due to gentle slope, the velocity of the river decreases, which results in the formation of the riverine islands. Doab is made up of two words, do meaning two and ab meaning water. Similarly, Punjab is also made up of two words, Panj meaning five and ab meaning water. The northern plain is broadly divided into three sections. The western part of the northern plain is referred to as the Punjab Plains, formed by the Indus and its tributaries. The larger part of the plain lies in Pakistan. The Indus and its tributaries, the Jhelum, the Chenab, and the Ravi, the Beas, and the Satluj, originate in the Himalaya. This section of the plain is dominated by the Doabs. Manjuli in the Brahmaputra River is the largest inhabited riverine island in the world. The Ganga Plain extends between Ganga and Tista rivers. It spreads over North India in Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, partly Jharkhand and West Bengal. In the east, particularly in Assam, lies the Brahmaputra Plain. The northern plains are generally described as flat land with no variations in its relief. It is not true. These vast plains also have diverse relief features. According to the variations in relief features, the northern plains can be divided into four regions. The rivers, after descending from the mountains, deposit pebbles in a narrow belt of about 8 to 16 km in width, lying parallel to the slopes of the Shivaliks. It is known as Babar. All the streams disappear in this Babar belt. South to this belt, the streams and rivers emerge and create a wet, swampy and marshy region known as terrain. This is a thickly forested region full of wildlife. The forest has been cleared to create agricultural land and to settle migrants from Pakistan after partition. Located Dua National Park in this region. The largest part of the northern plain is formed of older alluvium. It lies above the floodplains of the rivers and presents a terrace-like feature. This part is known as Bangar. The soil in this region contains calcareous deposits, locally known as kankar. Newer and young deposits of the floodplains are called khadar. They are renewed almost every year and are so fertile, thus ideal for intensive agriculture. The Peninsula Plateau is a tableland composed of the old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. It was formed due to the breaking and drifting of Gondwana land and thus making it part of the oldest landmass. The plateau has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. This plateau consists of two broad divisions, namely the Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. The part of Peninsula Plateau lying to the north of the Narmada River, covering a major area of the Malwa Plateau, is known as the Central Highlands. Central Highlands, the part of the Peninsula Plateau lying to the north of the Narmada River, covering a major area of the Malwa Plateau, is known as the Central Highlands. The Vidyan Range is bounded by the Satpura Range on the south and the Aravallis on the northwest. The further westward extension gradually emerges with the sandy and rocky desert of the Rajasthan. The Central Highlands, the flow of rivers draining in this region, namely the Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa and the Ken, is from the southwest to northeast, thus indicating the slope. The Central Highlands are wider in the west but narrower in the east. The eastward extensions of this plateau are locally known as Budelkhand and Bagelkhand. The Chota Nagpur Plateau marks the further eastward extension drained by the Damodar River. The Deccan Plateau is a triangular landmass that lies to the south of the river Narmada. The Satpura Range flanks its broad base in the north, while the Mahadev, the Kaimur Hills, and the Maikal Range form its eastern extensions. The Deccan Plateau is higher in the west and slopes gently eastwards. An extension of the plateau is also visible in the northeast, locally known as the Meghalaya Karabi Anglong Plateau and the North Kachar Hills. It is separated by a fault from the Chota Nagpur Plateau. Three prominent hill ranges from the west to the east are Garo, the Khasi, and the Jaintia Hills. The Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats mark the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau respectively. Western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast. They are continuous and can be crossed through passes only. Example Tal, Bor, and Pal Ghats. Western Ghats are higher than the Eastern Ghats, Their average elevation is 900 to 1600 meters, as against 600 meters of the Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats stretch from the Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south. The Eastern Ghats are discontinuous and irregular and dissected by rivers draining into the Bay of Bengal. The Western Ghats cause orographic rain by facing the rain-bearing moist winds to rise along the western slopes of the Ghats. The Western Ghats are known by different local names. The height of the Western Ghats progressively increases from the north to south. The highest peaks include Anamudi 2695 meters and the Doda Beta 2637 meters. Mahendragiri 1501 meters is the highest peak in the Eastern Ghats. Shivori Hills and the Javadi Hills are located to the southeast of the Eastern Ghats. Locate the famous hill stations of Udagamandalam, popularly known as Ooty and the Kodaikanal. One of the distinct features of Peninsula Plateau is the black soil area known as Deccan Trap. This is of volcanic origin, hence the rocks are igneous. Actually, the rocks have denuated over time and are responsible for the formation of black soil. The Aravalli Hills lie on the western and northwestern margins of the Peninsula Plateau. These are highly eroded hills and are found as broken hills. They extend from Gujarat to Delhi in a southwest northeast direction. The Indian Desert. The Indian Desert lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. It is undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall below 1000 mm per year. It has arid climate and with low vegetation cover. Streams appear during the rainy season. Soon after they disappear into the sand as they do not have enough water to reach the sea. Luni is the only large river in this region. More prominent near the Indo-Pakistan boundary, if you visit Jaisalmer, you may go to see a group of merchants. The coastal plains. The Peninsula Plateau is flanked by a stretch of narrow coastal strips running along the Arabian Sea on the west and the Bay of Bengal on the east. Western coast sandwiched between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea is a narrow plain. It consists of three sections. The northern part of the coast is called Konkan Mumbai to Goa. The central stretch is called the Karnataka Plain, while the southern stretch is referred to as the Malabar Coast. Plains along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. In the northern part, it is referred to as the Northern Circar, while the southern part is known as Coromandel Coast. Large rivers such as Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri have formed extensive delta on this coast. Lake Chilika is the important feature along the eastern coast. The Lake Chilika is the largest saltwater lake in India. It lies in the state of Odisha. To the south, locate the Lakshadweep Islands group lying close to the Malabar coast of Kerala. The group of islands composed of small coral islands Earlier, where they were known as Lakshadweep, Minicoy, Amandive. In 1973, these were named Lakshadweep. It covers small area of 32 square kilometer. Kavaradi Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadweep. The island group have great diversity of flora and fauna. The Piti Island, which is inhabited as a bird sanctuary. Coral polyps are the short-lived microscopic organisms which live in colonies. They flourish in shallow, mud-free warm waters. They secrete calcium carbonate, the coral secretion and their skeletons from the coral deposits in the form of reefs. They are mainly of three kinds: barrier reef, feeding reef and atolls. The Great Barrier Reef of Australia is a good example of a first kind of coral reefs. Atolls are circular or horseshoe-shaped coral reefs. Now you see the elongated chain of islands located in the Bay of Bengal extending from north to south. These are Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They are bigger in size and are more numerous and scattered. The entire group of islands is divided into two broad categories: the Andaman in the north and the Nicobar in the south. It is believed that the islands are an elevated portion of submarine mountains. These island groups are of great strategic importance for the country. There is great diversity of flora and fauna in this group of islands too. These islands lie closer to the equator and experience equilateral climate and has thick forest cover. India's only active volcano is found on Barren Island in the Andaman and Nicobar group of islands. The mountains are the major sources of water and forest wealth. The northern plains are the granaries of the country. They provide the base for early civilization. The plateau is a storehouse of minerals which has played a crucial role in the industrialization of the country. The coastal region and the island groups provide sites for fishing and port activities. Thus, the diverse physical features of the land have immense future possibilities of development. Choose the correct answer from the four alternatives given below. A landmass bounded by sea on three sides is referred as. The answer is the peninsula. The mountain ranges in the eastern part of the India forming its boundary with Myanmar are collectively called. The answer is Purvanchal. The western coastal strip south of Goa is referred to as. The answer is Kannad. The highest peak in the Eastern Ghats is. The answer is Mahendragiri.